I'm Jeremy White, and the Houston Texans defense is as advertised.
I'm Joe Marino, and that was not the type of game where you could have so many miscues offensively.
I'm the big O, Jerry Ostroski. The Bills, once again, were in Houston and had a problem. This is the Locked On Network, and you're watching Bill Squad.
Who's ready, Bills Mafia? It's the Bills Squad. Everything Buffalo Bills, every week. Breaking down the big hits and game-changing plays the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. So gear up and squad up. The Bill Squad show starts now.
And welcome in, Bills Mafia. Thanks for joining us here on a late night, live after the Bills and Texans play, and the Houston Texans beat the Bills to send them their fourth loss of the season. It is a rough game we will get through. This episode brought to you by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. I'm Jeremy White. With me, the big O, Jerry Ostroski, and Joe Marino. We'll get your comments in. We'll get lots of takes on this game. The Bills lose. Their offense has a miserable day. Josh Allen takes a beating. The offensive line gives up 1 million sacks. And, Jerry, I know you're hot about this one, so I'll just hand the ball to you here right away because the Bills lose in Houston, and, man, I don't know how you don't come out of that game really impressed by the Houston defense. But, again, it's about the Bills here and what we saw from their offense, which was what?
Was nothing. You look at the 19 points scored, 7 of them were scored on a kick return. So if you want to get down to brass tacks, they scored 12 points tonight in a game where you couldn't leave points on the field, and they obviously did. I would like to start with this narrative. You get on social media, you get on all these things, and the defense gets crucified over and over and over again. Well, the defense you're crucifying gave up 108 yards rushing tonight. They gave up 261 total yards tonight. In the second half, they had, what was it, Joe? Four three and outs?
Four three and outs and a field goal. On a short field. On a short field. Secure fumble, yeah.
Yes, off of a short field with the fumble. So please, if you have venom or whatever you want to spread around, send it to the side that deserves to get it, which is the offense. And the part that I have issues with, and this is where, I look at these two sides of the ball. I look at the defense, it's extremely shorthanded, playing with players off the street, practice squad guys, you name it, okay? Older guys who are not only old, they're small and beat up, and they're still competing. They're playing hard and trying to find a way to win and trying to find a way to be, to give something to the team as far as winning effort goes. Our best group on this team for a long, long time, and I've said it over and over again, is that offensive line. And tonight they didn't show up. Too many miscues, too many penalties in key moments by big-time players. Guys missed assignments on short yardage. You can't have it. You're playing the number one defense in the league, and you got to be perfect, almost near perfect as you can be. And the self-inflicted wounds and missed assignments and things up front are just unacceptable. You're going to get beat sometimes because the guy across from you is really damn good, and they got a lot of good defensive players. And, I'd like to see more backs in to help guys on pass pro, but you know what? It's obvious if we leave a back in, we lose an option in the passing game. So I can see where, they roll the dice and say, we'll take the chance, because if we don't, we have one less option in the passing game right now. But, it's frustrating because you hear all this negative connotation about the defensive side of the ball. They played their butts off tonight. The other side did not.
Yeah, it was a heavyweight fight between the Texans edge rushers and the Bills offensive tackles, and boy, this wasn't close, right? There was a matchup that was dominated by Houston's edge rushers, and obviously I think there's more than just the offensive tackles to look at. I think Josh certainly has to be in that type of game. You have to get the ball out. You can't take some of those sacks. You got to get the ball out. And
how many times did he turn his back to the field?
You can't do it. Yeah,
you just can't do it.
You got to mitigate loss. And I mean, how many times are there 2nd and 15, 3rd and 20, 3rd and 22? I mean, they were 1st and 15, getting ready to score. That drive ends in a 4th and 22. I mean, just you have to have some risk management. You can't have so many negative plays. And You did. And all things considered, you had a great opportunity to win a football game. And, well, you couldn't execute there at the end. You turned the ball over for the third time. Not good enough tonight.
Yeah, the number of times, Allen will the final number for sacks, we'll go through, and Joe, I know you'll chart maybe how many are on the line, if any are on him. Some are going to be on his decision to make it worse than it is, because there's sacks and then there's sack yards, and losing 10 versus losing 1 is a big difference. The thing I thought, and I saw John Fina tweeting about this too, Jerry, there are plays it's 3rd and 3 and they're going empty. I can't even imagine why they would ever in a million years go empty in any scenario in this game. To just, hey, Will Anderson, hey, Danielle Hunter, come on, let's go. Let's have you. Why would you ever do that in this matchup?
The only explanation I can have there is when you do go with that spread look, you say, Josh, just pick a matchup and throw it. And unfortunately, you didn't get that piece of that equation until they threw the fade ball to Gabe Davis there, and he couldn't get the second foot down. It's like, I figured that was the type of throw he was going to have to make, and they couldn't punch it in. But I think there's plenty to be concerned about. How about the sequence when they get the 20-yard run for James Cook and give him the ball 4 times in a row? He's out of breath. It wound up being 5 carries in a row. He gets 20 yards in a row, 20 yards. They give him to him 4 more times. They wound up getting stopped right there in the fourth quarter. James was trying to get out of the game for the 4th down run. Like, no, you got to go in there, and it's a long one, so we can't do our tush push, and it got blown up. The short yardage, I mean, for as much as we want to talk about sacks, which we should, the short yardage miscues by Osiris Torrance in particular were pretty costly here in a game where you couldn't have those types of errors.
No, it was a comedy of errors. I mean, they were all over the place. Like I said, missed assignments, one-on-one blocks getting beat. I mean, everybody took a turn today. It wasn't like it was one guy or another. It was all 5. And I commend Spencer Brown in his toughness. He probably played 3 series too long. Probably should have come out, 3 series before that. And like I said, I commend him for battling and trying to be a tough leader on that team. That's what it's all about. But at some point, somebody's got to step in and say, "Yo, man, enough's enough." He couldn't use his right arm. I mean, he's trying to play against one of the best pass rushers in the league with one arm. Yeah. I mean, it just doesn't. He was having problems with 2 arms, let alone one. I mean, you can't do it. And it was really disappointing to see the opportunities there and not being taken advantage of just from self-inflicted miscues and errors.
The game reminded me, it had the feel of the game they lose in Miami when it's 100 degrees outside. And I don't mean because it felt like they should have won. They had like 500 yards offense in that game. But in that game, everyone's dropping like flies, and you're looking at the sideline. And when Spencer Brown, they show Spencer Brown with the big wrap, and he's got his head down. I think, like, man, this guy he's doing anything he can to try to protect Josh, and they're overmatched, which I guess, guys, like, this might have been something we should have seen coming. This team has been giving up more sacks. Allen's been taking more sacks, right? Slowly but surely over the course of a season, hey, he's taking more sacks this year than he did all of last year. So here comes the Monstars, the heavyweight fight of all time when it comes to a pass rush. And, man, like, that's going to stick. I think this game will stick with Bills fans for a long time. Like, it's the kind of game that changes the way people think about their offensive line in terms of how much faith you have in it. I saw PFF just graded them the number 1 offensive line in football, and they got dominated in this game.
There's a lot of things you can look at and a lot of factors that you can get into, but for whatever it is, there needs to be a little bit of soul searching in that room and a recommitment as far as fundamental football, physical health, being the best version of the person you can be when you go out on that field. And again, like I said, Deion will get a lot of criticism for the offsides at the end of the game and some other things, but everybody took their turn tonight. It wasn't just one guy, it was all 5. And that's what's really disappointing.
Yeah, combined with the quarterback as well, right? The pocket management wasn't very good. There were times the ball's got to come out. So, yeah, I think, Jeremy, you had the right word. They were overmatched. And I think that's what makes it very frustrating is you still had your opportunities, right? You're still in this game. Your defense kept you in it. Like, I was waiting the entire second half for this to become a 2-possession game and think to myself, there's no way the Bills can score twice. And the defense kept them in it over and over and over and over again. And the offense certainly had their chances. They had 2 drives where they're threatening to score. And once they had to settle for a field goal because they get into the 4th and 22 after 1st and 10 from the 15, then they can't convert the 3rd and 2. They wind up not being able to get it after getting it to 4th and 1. and you get your chance there at the end. Like, I mean, you had your chances. You had 3 like really good chances, which doesn't even mention that you converted a 3rd and long and Khalil Shakir fumbled the football. And then the defense actually gives up their worst drive of the game, the 12-play, 77-yard drive. What does the offense do on the very first play? It's a Josh Allen interception. Like the story of this season has been way more the offense continuing to put the defense in horrible situations and the defense actually giving them a chance. Now, does the defense have their own issues? Yeah, but when it comes to the complementary piece, it's way more the offense putting this defense in bad spots.
Exactly. And you're also looking at the defense is playing way shorthanded. And the offense, while you don't have Kincaid, they still have the majority of their pieces and the guys they rely on, and they're just having an issue getting it done on a consistent basis over there where the defense, at least they show up and fight. I mean, they play hard and try. And now they're losing even more people. So it's just it's amazing.
One of the challenges that this passing offense has is, I think at its core, they want to run mesh concepts, which means you have shallows on both sides, right? And so you're shallow from the right, the shallow from the left, they mesh, and you hope to get some type of rub, and somebody comes out the other side of that. The problem with that is being a foundation of your passing offense is those mesh routes, they have to clear the ball before you can throw it, right, which puts an immense amount of stress on your protection, especially in a game like this. So, yeah, I want Josh to get the ball out of his hands, but he really can't until those mesh routes clear. And so it's mesh, it's rail, and then there's something layered over top of it. And not only is it becoming easy for defenses to defend, it puts more stress on your protection. And obviously this wasn't the night for that.
It's the Bills Squad Show, breaking down the Bills' 23-19 loss to the Houston Texans on a short week. They've not won in Houston since 2006, and a bit of a house of horrors for how it's gone. The playoff game where Allen looked a lot like he looked tonight, running backwards, doing weird stuff. Last year, he completes 9 passes. And this one, guys, when he was able to throw the ball, it went okay, 24 for 34. Granted, it's only 183, so like very little down the field. The problem is the sacks, and here's the number for you that is going to be, I think, one of the big talking points. I wonder what the league stat is on this. Like, what quarterback has lost the most yards in a game to sacks this year? You ready for Allen's number? 70.
Wow, yeah.
70 sack yards. 8 sacks for 70 yards lost in this game. Like, you know, they like to protect the ball. I thought they threw some screens effectively. There was a nice 3rd and 1 screen to Shakir, was a little variation of one that they've thrown. So they got Shakir in space. They got some little yak plays. I thought they had a couple things dialed up, but outside of the scripted quick throws, if it wasn't quick game, it wasn't working against this Texans defense.
No, they needed the yards after catch. And I think what really disappoints me about 8 sacks for 70 yards is the Titans played this Texans defense last week. Cam Ward got sacked 3 times for minus 23 yards. Keep in mind, Cam Ward's been sacked 41 times this year. He's been sacked on 11% of his dropbacks. Josh Allen gets dunked 8 times for 70 yards after Cam Ward 3 for 23 a week ago.
But it's obvious too that Josh really does not have an internal clock. There's no, his internal clock is not what it needs to be. I mean, I get it. You want to make plays downfield, but you got to throw the ball away and live to play another day. I'm not sticking up for the pass protection. Okay. So don't take that the wrong way, but some of those sacks, you can't pirouette 5 times and try to get out of stuff. You got to throw the ball away.
I think this is a really big talking point. This is a quote that just came out from Josh Allen about the last play of the game and, you know, getting stopped there. And the quote is, "Just frustration on my part. Should have banged a timeout. We got the play in late. Didn't give ourselves a chance there." This is a lot of times now where it's an end of game moment where the Bills got to have it, and their operation is just off completely, whether it's special teams or having too many men on the field or a miscommunications on offense. Like, just going back to the last several years in a high leverage moment, just not being operationally sound to give yourself the best opportunity to win a game like that. And that's disappointing to see that quote come through, because call the time. I mean, it's do or die. I mean, yeah, you want to hold the timeout, but it doesn't matter if you don't convert the 4th and 5 that was supposed to be a 4th and 1, but your all-world left tackle has a mental fart there at the end.
You got to understand this too. That quote was made for a reason. That message was made to get out. That message wasn't tongue in cheek. That was said on purpose.
Yeah, the calls got in late all game long,
Right.
which is a big deal because if the calls come in late, you don't have the opportunity to have 2 plays called. You don't have the opportunity to change things at the line of scrimmage. And a game, well, boy, that would have been nice to be able to do to optimize your opportunities against a great defense. I mean, just operationally, just terrible offensively tonight.
Well, the Allen frustration likely grows, and we're getting quotes from them as post game's going on right now. Guys, how about the cameras catching him on the sideline after the 4th down? You mentioned when James Cook runs 4 straight and he's gassed. After that 4th down gets stopped, you can clearly see Allen saying to Trubisky, "What are we doing?" So we've got frustration boiling with the quarterback and plays coming in late. Like, I don't know.
You got to. It's unacceptable.
What do you got to do about it? Like, are they going to do something, or are they just going to kind of ride with this?
What do you do?
I know.
What do you do right now?
You pull the one lever you can. You change coordinators. Like, I just don't think it's in the cards. Or you streamline things. I'm not quite sure.
Well, they have a mini bye, so
that's right.
So I guess they'll spend all week in the tub trying to get ready. I mean, God only knows the injuries coming out of this game. It was obviously a battle of attrition out there, but you got to get healthy, and there's just so much to clean up. This team's obviously extremely limited, right? I think we've known that since we watched the defense in week 1. But whether it's for as much as we want to kind of help the defense here with some of our commentary, still they don't have it, right? Like they don't have the pass rush.
No.
Has the pass rush been meaningful in 3 weeks now?
No.
They had 1 sack. It was on the end of the game. Baker Mayfield coverage sack on Daquan Jones got it. Like there's just not enough impact there. And obviously, like they really can't stop the run. And so this is a team that's very flawed, that's very limited. And so, boy, that makes operational issues even a bigger issue because you just don't have the dudes to go out there and match up every single game, obviously.
I mean, there's just a ton of pressure. You have to play perfect all the time.
Yeah.
You have to be perfect. You can't make mistakes. And it just, in this league, that's hard to do.
Some of the stats of today's game: Bills lose 23-19, 2.5 sacks for Will Anderson, 2 sacks for Danielle Hunter. They pressured Allen all day. 8 sacks for 70 yards lost. Davis Mills in this game, 16 of 30 for 153, 2 touchdowns. Woody Marks ran a little bit. Nick Chubb ran a little bit. Xavier Hutchinson had a 9-yard carry. Like the Bills on the ground, it's 26 for 108 again, 4.2. But so like there aren't gaudy numbers from a run defense standpoint, guys, but it felt like when the Texans, when they wanted 4, they could just have 4. And Taron Johnson, when they needed 1, they got 4 and dragged him through the first down line too. So we saw the Texans just kind of get a little bit of what they needed in the run game whenever the time called. So anyway,
there for him. Yeah,
it was. No doubt. It was. Taron Johnson conversation. He made a nice play late in the game, which was a good recover because it felt like we are going to be talking about Taron Johnson quite a bit. All right, let's get a break in. We'll get your thoughts on this. If you want to jump in and drop us a comment, we can. A sack parade, 12 points for the offense, and just overall a rough day as the Bills lose on the road in a short week to the Houston Texans. Jeremy, Joe, and Jerry O, it's the Bill Squad Show back in a moment here on the Locked On Bills channel. This episode of Bill Squad is brought to you by Prize Picks. Yes, Prize Picks. You get a chance to make decisions every day on Prize Picks. Being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement of this sports season, whether you're following the NFL, the NBA, both. No better time to jump in on the action. If you haven't tried it yet, Prize Picks is the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get them right, you win. Takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play anywhere Prize Picks operates, including California, Texas, and Georgia. So with Prize Picks, football Sundays or Thursdays, NBA tip-offs, all of it. Pick your favorite players, Patrick Mahomes, Steph Curry, Josh Allen, whoever. And the Stacks feature, that's also a game changer. You can pick more on Steph's points, threes, and assists all in the same lineup if you want. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKDOWNNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKDOWNNFL for $50 in lineups after your first lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Bills fall to the Houston Texans. Jeremy White, Joe Marino, and the Big O, Jerry Ostroski here on the Locked On Bills channel. Gentlemen, let me give you the updated playoff and divisional odds if you want to use the New York Times playoff machine, as I do. The Texans winning this game drops the Bills' chances to win the division considerably, down to like less than 10%. So now just the math of it, you needed to beat New England. You probably needed them to lose to Baltimore, and now you're going to need them to lose to either Cincinnati, the Giants, the Jets, or the Dolphins. So you need New England to lose a bad game, and to you, and to the Ravens, and you have to run the table. So we had someone in our comments point out, get ready for Bills-Jets to be the final game at Highmark Stadium, because it does not look like you're going to be hosting a playoff game this year unless something goes crazy in the divisional rounds and all that. But big underdogs to maybe host one, and New England's got to be feeling great today. To the offense, I saw, and Joe, we'll get to the L22 review. This will be a time. The wide receiver conversation is always going to be a point here, even in the game where the line gets blown up like this, because big picture views, we've talked about how teams that have the chops to cover receivers will say 1-1, we're good, and everybody else's eyes are on the quarterback. And did this feel like a game that was exactly that? Like, they've got two great cover corners. Who would we possibly worry about? All eyes on the cornerback, do whatever we want.
Yeah, it's obviously a tough game for featuring your outside receivers against these corners, right? Lassiter and Stingley are really, really special. And I think the Bills maybe had the right idea with a lot of middle of the field throws, a lot of trusting some yards after catch. But when there were those opportunities to read out a progression, you just couldn't do it, right? There's too much pressure and obviously too much indecision. And obviously this is a defense that runs a lot of, they play top down. They run 3 deep or 4 deep over top, and they play top down. They match, they close, they're confident, they play physical, they're instinctive. And that puts a lot on Josh Allen to be an anticipatory player, right? I mean, you can't wait for guys to declare themselves as open. And, it's a tough situation, obviously. But, I mean, simultaneously, they had their chances. And, I think that Houston – what was really different about Houston than maybe Tampa and Miami the last 2 weeks is that Houston really didn't load up the box. They gave the Bills a lot of light and neutral boxes, and still it didn't. I mean, James certainly, 116 yards rushing. Yeah, but two, he had a 45 and a 20, right? Two really kind of explosive runs. The snap-to-snap consistency of the way that they were able to play the run was pretty sound, with not really loading up to stop it. So it's a tough defense for sure. Like, give them their flowers. They deserve it. I still think the Bills had their chances and just made way too many mistakes.
I think still, even with that, Joe, the game script didn't get away from them enough to only have 24 runs.
I agree with that for sure. Yeah.
And here's the fact that 5 of them were Josh Allen scrambles. So take it down to what, 19? That's not enough runs in this game. And we talked about it leading up to this game. The Bills would have to control the line of scrimmage, run the ball to get into those play action shots, and force Houston out of some of the things they want to do. You can't run the ball only 19 times in a game and against this Texans team and expect to just be able to go out and throw the ball over the park like, I guess we felt we could with the limitations we have in that passing offense. Again, I don't think it got out of hand to the point where, especially with the defense that, 4 3-and-outs and then the field goal in the second half, I felt we got away from the run way too soon and needed to keep doing it. And you know what? Let Ty Johnson run the ball a little more. He's shown that he can do it. Let's let Ty run a little bit more if Cook's tired. Come on now.
So to this point, guys, do you feel like complimentary football, we've said, like, the defense played a great second half, is the most important moment of the game that gets the Bills off of the script they want? We've said they need their script. They are not good coming from behind when they have to abandon the run and become one-dimensional. Ray Davis takes that kick return for a touchdown. It is 16-13 Bills. It feels like, all right, to the half with the lead. And the Texans go 6 plays, 75 yards, touchdown to take the lead back going into the break.
Their initial intent with that drive was not to do that. Right. They
exactly.
came out with zero urgency whatsoever.
Yeah.
And they wind up getting that 20-yard pass to Nico Collins. That was a really kind of a fun play by Cole Bishop to kind of hit him and then kind of drag him down. But that got him going. That got their drive started. And then they hit Christian Kirk for 33 yards. Taron Johnson couldn't run with him. And all of a sudden they're in a situation where they're going to be able to score a touchdown. And the Bills can't get the stop there at the end. That was, I'm pretty sure, the play where Max Hairston and Taron Johnson cover the same guy. No, nobody covers the other play. No, that was the Jaden Higgins in the corner. I'm crossing up the plays there, but yeah, that was huge, especially because you're getting the ball first out of half, right? This is your opportunity to maybe double dip, and you give up that touchdown drive, and then you go 3 and out to start the second half, and your opportunity to kind of see some momentum was never captured.
And here's another big aspect of the game that we haven't talked about yet. When you're playing a defense like this, field position is of high importance, right? Because it's tough to get yards against this Houston team. How many times do we return kicks with penalties to where we, instead of having positive yardage, we're pushed back inside the 20, sometimes inside the 15, 10-yard line. And then we're in tough spots with field position. You can't have that either. And that happened way too many times. And I know at least 3. I want to say it was 4 times we had holding calls or some sort of penalty on a kick return that negated any sort of positive field position and momentum.
Yeah, Tommy Townsend, their punter, was phenomenal, right? I mean, there was a couple of those where it was a penalty, but there were other punts that, I mean, the Bills are starting inside their own 15. It just felt like over and over again against a defense that they only give up like 260 yards a game. Right. You got to go 80. It's hard to do.
Yeah. I mean, it's a rough day. It's a rough day. So the one of the big questions coming out of this will be bad matchup or bad Bills team. Because listen, the AFC, all right, let's look at the AFC. I know the Texans are going to make the playoffs. They're 6-5. They probably feel better about it right now. But there really are 2 great defenses in the AFC among the contenders. And that's the Texans and the Broncos. And would we stop there? Like the Chiefs is pretty good. You got some good defense, but it's Texans and Broncos. And if you don't play the Texans, like, all right, I'm trying like the optimist's view, guys. Like, is what we saw tonight a blueprint? Is it just if they meet the Texans, then they're in real trouble? Or do you feel like it's, I don't know, a perfect storm of this is what we've all been seeing and waiting to happen in a big enough spot?
Go ahead, Joe.
Well, I think the Bills can beat any team. Okay, I do believe that. But I think it's obviously different scripts for different teams, and matchups against Denver and Indy Denver and Houston that are very good at creating negative plays, and the Bills are very good at allowing them, and in addition to their own, mental miscues that they tend to make offensively, that makes it tough, especially because you need to be able to help your defense out a little bit. And so I do think that those types of teams are a lot more difficult, especially if the Bills are not going to be consistent with how they run the football. I think, obviously they played Denver in the postseason last year, and maybe Denver's a little bit better this year defensively, maybe a little worse on offense, but they were able to really run the football and take advantage of that game, and then, made a couple of plays down the field and winds up blowing out the Broncos. I don't know that this team is similar to that, where they can be consistent with any one piece of it to allow that to take over. And so I think there can be moments, but I just feel like this team is extremely limited in how they can play. And I think they need things to go a certain way for them to win, which is pretty disappointing to say those types of things as we're 9 years into this regime. And I understand that they had a bit of a mini reset, but you can just see the lack of successful personnel moves. I think it's kind of catching up with this football team.
If they do anything, and I agree with Joe, at any time they can beat anybody. You've seen some of the games they've put together this year, and they've played really, really well, but it's going to start up front on offense. We got a lot of question marks all over the place, but that group has always been one we can hang a hat on and rely on. And they've got to figure out what they need to do to get that spark back up front and be that dominating offensive line. And they're going to have to do it shorthanded for a while, because I don't see Spencer Brown coming back anytime soon. He's going to miss some time with that shoulder. So we're going to have to ride with Vandermark. Who do they bring up who do they bring up to make active? Is it,
Tylen Grable's been with a concussion for 6 months or something. Like,
so now our emergency offensive tackle probably will be Chase Lunt. So you've got to figure out what you're going to do there. But honestly, it all starts with those guys. And we haven't seen that group get dominated like that. I don't think I ever have. It's been a long time. Yeah. And maybe this is the performance that's going to open some eyes and get some things motivated. But to go where they want to go, the offensive line has to be the group that they've been.
There's been a lot more lows from the offensive line this year, I'd say. I mean, there's some really good high moments for sure. But, Jerry, I mean, we've been studying the tape together pretty much every week, and I feel like there are a lot more mistakes, whether they're mental mistakes, mostly a lot of mental mistakes, right, where guys are just – executions, missing assignments, right? It's not – they don't really get physically beat a ton. Certainly in this game, I think you can point to that. But it's been a lot of mental mistakes, and so – I think in some of these moments, it kind of shows up, right? I mean, you can't hide from some of your flaws. They pop up in big moments, and I thought we saw that tonight for sure.
Well, I think that I can handle getting beat physically.
Sure.
There's some guys that are just damn good, and you're going to get beat physically.
Yeah.
What I don't handle is missed assignments and non-hustle plays, finishing blocks and knowing that if you're pass protecting – and your quarterback has this insane ability to get out of things, maybe you continue to go through the block and try to finish. So, that bothers me as well. So those are some areas as far as missed assignments and finishing blocks that need to change right now.
Ryan Vandermark, when he went in, he got the holding penalty. Jerry, he got his money's worth on that holding penalty.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
it was a straight tackle. I mean, they showed the replay. I mean, I couldn't help but laugh at it. It was
So you take it, do you let your quarterback get killed and take a sack, or do you have enough pride to drag him down and maybe maybe they'll take the penalty and you fight another day? I thought Vandermark did fine. He fought his ass off. I mean, he knows he's limited in some things athletically, but he did well.
Was Tim Settle this good with the Bills?
Tim Settle and Poona Ford are always going to be very mysterious players for pretty much being nothing burgers that have gone on to be really solid players for other teams. And so, yeah, it's a black eye. There's no doubt about it. It's a black eye for this football team. Poona Ford couldn't even get a jersey. They signed Linval Joseph and Jordan Phillips off the street in like November. Those guys played over Poona Ford. It's hard to reconcile some of this.
Well, guys, one thing about, if we're zooming out a little bit for me is, I'm with you, Joe, when you say I think the Bills can beat anybody. And if we look at the last 4 weeks, it's beat the Chiefs, lose to the Dolphins, beat the Bucs, look amazing, lose to the Texans. The team has wins over Lamar, Mahomes, and Baker. They have losses to Michael Penix and Tua and Davis Mills.
Yeah.
Like, it's a Jekyll and Hyde team. The thing about it that this isn't their biggest problem. I'm not saying the quarterback's their biggest problem at all. But I want to say something about Josh. He doesn't look like the same Superman. He looks like a Superman that can still get things done like last week. But when things are going wrong, scramble drill, extend plays, that's the stuff. He doesn't look the same. And Carl Jones tweeted out the stat a little bit ago. He was sacked on 53% of his pressures tonight. Like, that is a terrible number. That is rookie year stuff. Like you said, like, mitigate the disaster, mitigate the losses. And I know he is Superman, but man, right now he does not look like Superman in these scenarios.
It's harder to get away from extra guys in the box when you have minimalistic people covering your receivers. Teams are doing a real good job. And I don't think that, if my memory serves me right, I don't think Houston really blitzed him very much tonight. Maybe
I'm sure probably not at
under 10 times.
Yeah.
So when there's a bunch of dudes in the box and close to the quarterback and you're trying to get away, you can't block all of them, especially, with us sending everybody out in routes. So, call it what it is.
It begs the question, like, why? Why? There's no doubt the performance under pressure has massively regressed. Massively. And is it anything that Josh Allen is lacking? I don't really believe that. I mean, I think this is more structure of what this personnel looks like. I think their base concepts that they like to call with how they pass the football. I think they needed to evolve in some ways. And I think they've gotten comfortable with, hey, this works. And they didn't really evolve a lot of the elements of this team that needed to. So, I mean, I think they missed Kincaid. That matters a ton. But I think there's a lot of limiting factors with the structure of this offense right now, and it's making it tough on 17.
When we get back, I want to ask you about that, the structure of the offense. I got a Joe Brady question for you. So we'll step aside for a moment. It is the Bills Squad Show. Give us a like, a subscribe, drop a comment as well. Bills lose to the Houston Texans tonight, 23-19 in prime time. Another loss in prime time for the Bills, which is also a little bit out of the ordinary for them. But they lose. Question about the offensive coordinator and the path forward when we return here on the Bills Squad Show. This episode of Bill Squad brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. That's right, FanDuel Sportsbook. You have a chance with FanDuel this NBA and NFL season to kind of jump in. If you missed the start of a game, you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. NBA season, great season for this. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. So whoever your team is, whichever matchup you like, you can jump in with live betting with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And right now, FanDuel's giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. $300 in bonus bets. Head to FanDuel.com, sign up, and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Back here on the Bill Squad Show, Jeremy White, Joe Marino, and the big O, Jerry Ostroski. Okay, so here's the question I have for you guys, because you guys are watching the All-22, digging into this, chatting about it in the Discord channel, all the good stuff. Does Joe Brady have the chops to adjust when it's going south? Because positive game scripts, I think they're very good, and you want to say a personnel issue? Okay, but I want to know about Joe Brady right here, because he's definitely going to be in the crosshairs. He's definitely under the microscope after a game like this where he only scored 12 points. Granted, it's a great defense. Does Brady show enough in game for you, down to down, possession to possession, quarter to quarter, half to half?
I think it's hard to say yes to that, after kind of seeing some of the issues that they've had this year. I have some level of grace because I don't think he's got great personnel, but I think he has better personnel than he had last year. And the offense is not as good as it was last year by any means. It's not even close. I said repeatedly, I think that offense last year had a case to be the best the Bills have ever put on the field. I think this might be the worst of this offense, probably the worst of the Josh Allen era. It's the 2024 Josh Allen era. Maybe we need to look at 2019. Maybe it's more comparable to that. They didn't even average 24 points per game, so they're definitely better than 2019. But I think there's some significant limitations, and when you maybe don't have the guys, it becomes more scheme related, right? You need to coach above your talent a little bit, and I don't think Joe Brady's proven able to do that so far this year, and it certainly raises a lot of questions that are pretty fair.
I think you're 100% correct, Joe. I think he doesn't, scheme guys open very much. He runs concept stuff. I think you look at his reliance on the quick throw to Shakir over and over and over again, and those quick throws outside. That's college stuff. We got better athletes than you. I'll get him the ball, and he's going to make plays because he's a better athlete.
Yeah.
And in this league, that doesn't happen, and you saw it again tonight. Now, Shakir made some crazy hella runs. I mean, he kept us in the game single-handedly himself. I thought the lateral play I had never seen that play. That's the first time I'd seen it. It was ingenious, but
I almost wish I didn't, Jerry.
Yeah, I know.
Just go ahead and be done there on the 4th and 27.
But what was that play, Joe? I mean, in the grand scheme of things, yes, it was desperation, but it was schemed up, right? It was a scheme play. But I think that's what you got to look at. You got to look at his insistence on that quick outside game and all that stuff. And that's kind of, like I said, that's my athlete's better than your athlete. And you just can't do that in the NFL over and over again and sustain any kind of success. You've got to get some guys open through schemes.
All right. Well, it's not an answer Bills fans are going to love. And I don't know if pressure on Brady rises. Josh Allen has been visibly frustrated a couple times now. Sean McDermott in the post-game press conference says he has faith in the offensive staff to get things figured out, and they'll have a long week to do it and a chance to kind of get things back on track for the Pittsburgh Steelers game, which is up next. Also, quick note, if anybody didn't see today, the Bills and Bengals, that game has been moved, the game time from 4:25 to a 1 p.m. start, and likely Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow practiced in full. He might play this week against the New England Patriots, so go Bengals, I guess. Drop us a comment. We'll get some of that stuff. Back to the defensive side of the ball, guys. Terrel Bernard leaves with his arm in a sling. So looks like Shaq Thompson might be your regular middle linebacker. We've liked that, how it's looked at times. Bernard's been playing hurt the entire season. I guess the question I would have about this game, or the observation I would have, what defensive lineman made a play you remember in this game?
Larry
Ogunjobi?
Larry O.
Larry, he's actually been getting better.
Yes,
I think he's been getting better, and he's been doing good things. Again, can't.
But past that, is it tough to find one?
Deon Walker had a nice retrace on a screen that I thought was pretty impressive.
A retrace on a screen, which
your point stands, Jeremy. Not many. I
need him not making plays on screens. I need him eating up two guys in the A gap. Is what I just
remembered it. I was answering the question.
I think the glaring thing right now up front on defense is Joey Bosa playing one-handed is not what it was before. And, he's searching like, he went to the club didn't work. He tried to go nothing at all. He got hurt right away. Today, as predicted, he went to the one thumb cast with the fingers exposed. And even that, it's driving him nuts. Because here's the problem with this. When you don't have a wrist in the hand and you're a power guy, a power rusher, and he's a classic speed to power guy, and you can't butt and rip and pull, you're lost. You're lost, and he's lost one of his tools, and it's killing him.
He had a quick win early. It might have been the first or second possession.
He jumped the snap count, is what he did. Yeah,
he couldn't clear the block because he only had one hand. You saw him try to fight. It's like he couldn't.
And even on the holding call, when they called Brown for holding against him, he was clear on that as well. And was playing. He got held because he couldn't get off it with that one arm, and it's a shame. And I commend him. I mean, the guy's out there giving it his all, but he's not getting it done with one hand.
Got TJ Sanders out there playing defensive end. I mean, Jordan Phillips getting blown off the ball routinely. They don't have it, guys. They don't have the dudes, man. They just don't.
But a different play call will change that. I'm sorry, it won't.
Just don't have the players. Yeah.
I did notice though, real quick. They never went to nickel. They went straight to dime today. But instead of playing the spy, Dorian came this time and became the fourth rusher as opposed to dropping
makes
off.
Sense against Mills, who's not
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Did either of you have the experience I did, which was, listen, we watch the Bills every week. We watch Josh Allen be amazing, and their defense for a couple seasons has been turning over the talent. Watching Houston and the way they play defense, was it a reminder like, oh, right, that's what it looks like when you've got fast, cohesive, aggressive, nasty defense? Like I came away, even the first drive before this game's over and the Bills score on their opening drive, I thought, great drive, because I can already see how good this defense is and how perfect they kind of had to be to get all the way down the field and into the end zone.
But that's also what teams look like. They draft in the top 10 and 15 year after year after year, right? I mean, but they're amazing, man. They get after it.
I think that's a fair point. I mean, you get Will Anderson with the third pick in the draft. You get Derek Stingley with, the third pick of the draft. But I will push back because I think they have put it together with phenomenal other selections. Like
they have.
Galen Bullock, a third-round pick. Kamari Lassiter, second-round pick. They're able to get Jalen Petrie, who is unbelievable. He didn't play in this game. He's a second-round pick. I mean, that's filled out their secondary. Aziz Al-Shaair, a guy that was familiar with D'Amico Ryans from their time together in San Francisco, has come along and become a really good backer for them. I think they've done a much better job in free agency, hitting on a Sheldon Rankins, hitting on a Tim Settle, hitting on a Danielle Hunter, hitting on a D'Amico Autry, hitting on a Derek Barnett. Like, they just have constructed this with the right players for their defense, and they're playing fast, physical, confident. They're not doing anything exotic. This isn't a crazy scheme. They just line up and they play top down and they play with instincts and they close and they make tackles and they have a lot of confidence about what they're doing. It's a really good operation. It felt like they had more guys on the field than the Bills for a lot of the plays.
And they're a relatively pretty young group as well. Am I correct? Yeah.
Yeah,
they're incredibly young.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this is a group for sure.
Hunter, 2 years, $49 million as a free agent when they signed him, which, I mean, he was a terror in Minnesota. Something about that guy where, I don't know, like $25 million for him. I guess when he's your number two across from the other guy who's amazing, It makes them look that much better. But like 2 years, $49 million. I mean, that's a guy the Bills could pay if they have cap space. I mean, as we start to look at why don't they have more tier A elite level players, it's in part because they don't have money to sign these guys because they extend everybody, right? Everybody, it's a little takeoff on everybody eats. Everybody stays, right? Almost everybody gets extended. Everybody gets these mid-level deals, and here they are up against the cap. And when a guy comes free, it's tough to add somebody. They swung on Vaughn a couple years ago, of course, but like, how do you get a guy like Danielle Hunter? Like 2 years, $50 million. You pay the $25 million a year price instead of the $12 million price on a Joey Bosa, who is a good veteran and has been nice. Like, I don't know. I'm just rambling because I know the Bills are going to watch this game, and I know Brandon Beane is going to think pass rush, as if he hasn't already thought that the entire time and poured so many assets into trying to find one and still not really having one.
You're exactly right,
Yeah.
and it's tough. It's tough to accept that. I mean, Anderson and Stroud being on rookie deals helps a ton, and this Houston team does have its own flaws, but obviously, they were able to overcome it. They showed their depth in some spots tonight, and I mean, they were the more physical team. They were the more prepared team. And this was the team that was hungry and came out and got it done. And you feel like you just kind of feel like the Bills are falling behind, right? Is that's the general idea? They're not going to win the division this year. You're looking at a team like Houston, and it looks like they're a tough matchup. They didn't have their starting quarterback. Denver looks good. You just got to feel like the Bills are falling behind, and I think that influences a lot of the way that we feel right now, because you felt like you were a step up on the competition, and it feels like you're falling behind, and you're not necessarily feeling warm and fuzzy about the guys in place that are going to get you back to that spot where you need to be.
My biggest takeaway over the last 5 weeks, and I've been looking at this and noticing it, and I've talked about it a little bit, but the Bills have gotten really old over the last 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Very old. And you talk about your re-signing your own and all that, and I always thought, and I've said it before, I've always thought that was one thing Belichick did so well in New England was he didn't fall in love with his own when he moved guys about 1 or 2 years before he figured the downfall would start, and then didn't have money tied up in guys that you couldn't get rid of. And we just got some key players on this team that are starting to look really old. And that's one thing Houston is not. I mean, they've got some old guys, but relatively they're across the board, they're very young.
Yeah, it's like what's the enemy of good is, or the enemy of great is good. You know what I mean? I think there's a level of comfort that I think you get with your own players. And like, I think the Bills, I think it's a great thing to draft, develop, and re-sign. I love that. I think that's at the core of any good football team. I think that's what it is. But I think the problem is a lot of these players are just good players. They're just good. They're not great players. And they all have limitations, right? They're all limited in some way. And so, yeah, I think the lack of premier top-end talent on this roster certainly shows.
It's the Bills Squad show here on the Locked On Bills channel. We'll come back at some of your comments in. Got a couple people that have dropped a note, questions about this loss, 23-19 to the Texans, a sobering loss. It felt like after last week beating the Bucs, the Bills could get right back in the thick of the AFC East race, and right now New England's got to be feeling really good about their chances to take the division. It is Jeremy White, Joe Marino, and the big O Jerry Ostroski. Your comments and final segment here coming up next here on the Bill Squad show. Gentlemen, if I had told you the Texans will go 2 for 12 on third down, you'd say Bills win. Right?
Win.
2
Bills
for
win.
12.
Maybe by 2 scores.
Right. 2 for 12 on third down. The Texans in this game. Total plays, total yard. The Texans had 261 total yards on 12 drives. Like, they got a bunch of possessions, and it didn't really do much with it. Like, that's something I like to point out these days. How many possessions were there for them to get 23 points? And, man, 23 points on 12 drives is a good day for your defense. And I know it's Davis Mills, but, hey, like, whatever. They had enough answers. And the Bills, like, Jerry, let's get this, Jerry. Did you get any read on this? You're usually pretty good with this. Guy goes down with an injury, you see it and say he probably got this. Any guess, Joe? Any guess on what happened with Allen there? And like a stinger in the elbow. It happened twice.
I think it's his elbow.
Okay.
I do. And if you remember, before he got sacked, he was looking to throw, and the elbow got hit as the arm was going forward, which he's gotten that same situation before and had the elbow stuff. Whatever he's got going on his elbow, whether he's got I know he's got some UCL issues. He's had them, whether it's partial, whatever. They've never repaired it. But it seems to be when he gets that arm hit in a throwing motion, the elbow, he's got a funny bone thing going on or something. And you saw it later in the game as well. He got sacked. The arm was tucked, and he's up there shaking his hand.
Yeah.
I don't think it's his wrist. I think it's his elbow. He's trying to get feeling back in his fingers. Could be an ulnar nerve or something like that, but he's got something going on with the elbow.
Yeah. Scary moments when he's on the ground kicking his legs like that.
Yeah.
He said something about his shoulder going numb at one point. I saw a quote on that. So don't like hearing those things about Josh Allen.
Well, the way he got hit from behind too, and the way that shoulder drove into the ground, he could have gotten a stinger in that situation. You don't get, you don't always have to hit like helmet first and all that to get stingers. That brachial nerve runs all the way down to your fingers. It's miserable when it happens. I mean, literally your whole entire arm's on fire. And the way he was acting, that might have been what it was.
I was hoping it was his wind being knocked out of him, because like his legs were kicking, and I know that when you're gasping for air, you can feel some type of way. And then they put that like brace on his upper arm, talking about like maybe some like turf burn or something. I mean, this is throwing arm stuff. It's concerning.
Yeah.
Keon Coleman did not dress for this game. One game without Keon. Look how good they looked. I'll just ask, could they have used him today?
I don't think the result's any different. I mean, I just looking at the one play where Gabe Davis attacked Kamari Lassiter's blind spot and was able to kind of work back to the football, and it was a rhythm throw like that. Those are the moments that just Keon Coleman doesn't have that in the bag. It's obviously it's a bad day for the offense. I don't know that it's better with Keon Coleman. Obviously, it's not a fact nor provable, but just seeing that one play kind of was very revealing to me that Gabe's so much more polished than Keon.
And then at the end of the game, he goes to him, makes the great catch, but doesn't get his foot in bounds. That was a great catch as well. I have no issues with Gabe playing right now at all. I don't think there's a drastic change in things happening if Keon's in the lineup.
I guess the only thing you could make the case is like Elijah Moore. Should I pull up his stat line from this game? I mean, because you could dress Coleman instead of Elijah Moore and have tried something different there. Moore ends up.
Well, that's a good point. I'm sorry. What I would do is if you're going to play him as a big slot.
Sure.
Yeah.
Play him next to Gabe and have two big guys on the same side of the field.
Yeah. And with Kincaid out, I think that was your opportunity to do it. I think that's a fair point. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Elijah Moore ends up with one catch for -3 yards. I thought that maybe they would address more to try and run Curtis Samuel's clear-out routes, but let's be real. The Bills' offensive line and Allen didn't have time to run clear-out routes. Nothing happening down the field because of that. So no Coleman in this game, a second straight game. He's inactive. We'll see what they do after the mini-bye when they head to Pittsburgh. But just looking ahead to that game, guys, it's a Pittsburgh team that, I don't know, they've got a decent record. I don't know what to expect. It's a road game for the Bills, but Pittsburgh is probably going to run a lot and run hard. They've got the ability to go big and push around the defensive line. So, could we be looking at a matchup in Pittsburgh that is tougher than people maybe earlier in the year would have thought?
This is not more good edge rushers. TJ Watt, Nate Herbig, Alex Highsmith. I mean, this is a freaking good trio of edge rushers. And so, I mean, I don't know the severity of Spencer Brown's situation, but, that's going to be Ryan Vandermark versus TJ Watt. So that could be tough. I mean, I don't think much of Pittsburgh's offense, but, the Bills got some significant things to clean up against a Steelers defense that's been up and down, but obviously very talented. And certainly, they have some guys there on that front. Cam Hayward's awesome. Keanu Benton's heck of a good player, and Derek Harmon looks like a good young player as well. So it'll be a big challenge for the offensive line again.
It'll also be their first matchup against a 3-4 defense with a head-up nose guard on McGovern, which will be interesting to see how he handles a guy like Cam Hayward that's so good two-gapping at the nose position. Then it gives us kind of a disadvantage because now it probably puts Torrance on a second-level player all the time, which I'm not real comfortable right now of him being a predominant second-level player. I don't know. Maybe it'll clean things up for him. But without seeing their film, knowing the history of Tomlin and what they do, they run a ton of three-man front. They shaded a little bit here and there, depending upon sets. But it's a tough defense to run against, the 3-4. It usually is, especially Pittsburgh. So it'll be interesting to see how we handle it and what do we put in this week.
Go over some comments here to close out in our last couple minutes here. How about this one? Go over the remaining schedule and predict record over 6 games. How many more losses are left? Philly's a tough game.
Two.
New England, what do you think? 2 more?
2 more. Yeah.
Okay.
I think 11-6.
11-6. Who do they lose to? The Eagles and the Patriots, or Eagles and, if it's not the Patriots, who is it? Cincinnati with Burrow? The Bengals defense doesn't stop anybody. So, who do you like? Browns, Shador saying,
I don't know which two. It feels like the Eagles feel like a loss. I'm looking at the schedule here.
Yeah.
They could lose in Pittsburgh for sure. In New England.
Yep.
The problem with the Bills is it's probably easier to just say they'll lose 2, because with Buffalo, they'll lose 1 they shouldn't lose, and then they'll win 1 by 30 points that they shouldn't win.
Jeremy wasn't taking it. I was just going to say they lose. He's like, give me names. Give me teams.
They'll blow Philly out of the building by 20 points. And then they'll play Cleveland, and Shador will have 350 yards. So,
boy, talk about a good defense. What Philly's got cooking there. Well, they're a little different with how they're constructed, but zone match, right? Playing fast, physical, downhill, top-down defense. It's very structurally extremely similar to what we just saw.
Right,
I mean, literally the same thing. Yeah,
and they talk about Jalen Phillips being the addition in the pass rush. Really, what they've done, the addition of the cornerbacks in free agency before the trade deadline helped them probably more than anything. They needed some corner help, and they got it. And Fangio got them rolling. But the good news is, supposedly, according to the sports radio in the city of Philadelphia, everybody in the building is against Jalen Hurts right now. So we'll see what happens.
He does that every year. Yeah, that's part of the normal Eagles year, right? AJ Brown's got to get into some type of rift, and Jalen Hurts has got to act like he's never played the quarterback position again, and then he turns it on, right? So sounds like things are on track for Philadelphia.
Another comment here. We'll get this one to close and get a quick thought. Maybe this is our topic for next week, but what levers could even be pulled this season? What could realistically be done? Like, I remember trade deadline day when the deadline comes and goes, and, in our little group chat, we're waiting for something to happen. And Joe, your text read, the roster is the roster. So here you are. The roster is the roster. We've seen elevations from the practice squad, hoping that practice squad guys can come save the day. And that's Jordan Poyer and Gabe Davis, which maybe all of a sudden now looking at it, that's like, oh, yeah, practice squad guys came to save the day. Maybe an indication you have some bigger problems.
Yeah, I think your answer is this. Your offense that I think has better personnel than it did last year when it was the best offense the Bills have ever put on the field. I think that figures itself out, right? And defensively, you're clinging to young players improving in season, like a Max Harrison, like a Javon Solomon, a Deion Walker, a TJ Sanders. Maybe you I think your linebackers, I think you'll obviously might not have Bernard for a while, but maybe you get a little bit more out of Dorian Williams. Maybe Shaq Thompson actually elevates some things. I think that's what it comes down to. Like players that haven't been playing as well as they should. Benford, Taron Johnson, Greg Rousseau, like those guys do what they're supposed to do. I think that's what it comes down to. But I mean, go ahead. I don't think it's crazy to say like, maybe it's time to recalibrate your expectations for what this team can get done this year. Like, I don't feel confident that this team is going on a deep postseason run. And so it's no longer my expectation. This team has told me too many things about who they are that gets in the way of me believing that they're going to really go stack together 3 wins in the postseason on the road to go get to the Super Bowl this year. So I think that's kind of the way I look at it. I'm certainly hoping that all the things that I said happen, but I think it's probably not going to, and this team's going to have some really favorable breaks, and for Josh Allen to be unbelievable and not make many mistakes here if they're going to get over the hump this year.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the roster and the amount of injuries and what they're lacking across the board, it's hard. I mean, it's not like college football where you got 100-some players. You got 53. And I know you can call guys up off the practice squad, but they're on the practice squad for a reason. it's just tough. And I mean, like years past where we had the Dorsey situation and they pulled the plug and there was a natural succession to Brady, there is no natural succession right now. I mean, this isn't like the defense where McDermott took it back over. I mean, you're going to get what you get. And, a lot of it comes down to this. Again, tonight, as bad as it was, if you limit the mistakes you can control and you kick an extra point, you got an opportunity to win the game. And they're making too many mistakes.
This is one spot. We'll get you guys' thoughts on this, and then we'll wrap up for the night because, hey, it's late. But Bills fans that are with us, thanks for being with us here.
Yeah, thank you.
The one thing maybe that really gets McDermott's goat more than anything, wouldn't it be? I'm holding it together with Scotch tape, and I'm getting the job done. Like the second half there, and you got nothing on offense against. Like I'm doing the job. I feel like when McDermott has a defense do it and the offense lets him down, that's when he comes out and says, "Felt like we got cute." He'll take his little shot at his offensive coordinator, and like I really wonder what the tone out of this game and moving forward will be.
I think he's got every right to feel that way, and I think he's made plenty of jabs. I mean, even listen to the way he talked about Houston's defense this week throughout the process of getting ready for the game. How many times you say, you know what, they're really talented. They're really, and to me, it's like, I don't know if I just hear things in some ways and I'm like, oh, is that a shot at Bean and you want better players? I do take myself to those spots, but I feel like McDermott has been as candid as he's ever been, really this year. And, I think in some ways that's concerning because I do wonder about, kind of some finger pointing and people caring about where, who gets the credit and those types of things. But I think in reality, there's certain pieces of this operation that are functioning like they should and certain that aren't. And, it's at some point, you're 9 years into this thing and you want to make sure that you've done your part to maximize what they can get done. And I think there's some underperforming pieces, obviously.
One of the underperforming pieces, I'll give you this. According to Next Gen Stats, the Texans allowed a 16% pressure rate, which is a stat on how the Bills' defensive line performed. And that is the best performance from the Texans' protection since 2023.
They don't have pass rush. They don't have it at all.
Yep.
I think, did they have Davis Mills' average time to throw? At one point I looked at it, and it was 2.15 seconds. So he was definitely, he was getting the ball out pretty quick. But I mean
guys, they only hit him 4 times. No sacks,
Yeah.
hit him 4 times. I don't know the pressures. And the other thing was only 3 tackles for loss. I mean, they weren't in the backfield at all on anything tonight.
3 weeks in a row of that. Yeah. They had the Chiefs game, which was like the greatest pass rush game we've ever seen for the Bills. Over. Yeah.
Texans had 35 net yards in the second half and won the game. All right, we're back next week. We'll have one show. It's, of course, Thanksgiving, mini bye week. So if you can subscribe to the channel, give us a like, drop a comment, have yourself a good weekend. It was a rough game if you stayed up late and watched it. The Bills fall to the Houston Texans, and New England is really a chokehold on the division. So Bills will regroup, mini bye, off to Pittsburgh next. Thanks for staying up late with us and watching and commenting for, your evening. Have a good one, and go Bills.
Go Bills.
Much love. Go Bills.